On-set visual effect workers across several Star Wars productions have officially voted to join IATSE, the International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees. The bargaining unit covers productions include The Mandalorian, Grogu, Ashoka, Starfighters, and much more productions. This marks another step in growing movement for VFX workers to organize better working conditions rates. I was little curious what will happen if VFX artists will join in this union. Depending on the local agreement, union members can include better overtime pay, minimum turnaround times between shifts, health insurance, pension benefits, meal penalties, vacation pay, workers' compensation, and personally, I think this isn't about higher salaries. It's about making a VFX a sustainable career. The primary purpose of a union is to collectively bargain with an employer on behalf of majority of workers. A union won't solve problem overnight, but it does give artists a stronger voice when negotiating working conditions. The first official Ramayana trailer has been released. It showcases large scale environment, fantasy creatures, extensive CG work, and ambitious visual effects that aim to bring one of the India's biggest epic to the screen. This is exactly the kind of projects VFX students should love to study. Every frame is synthetic, making it great example how modern films evolved in live action and CG. But in my opinion, I have some mixed feelings. Some shots are genuinely looks fantastic and eye candy. Others feels little artificial. It's not properly composited within the live action background or foreground, and even few reminded me like a real-time game engine renders. Ironically, my biggest issue isn't the visual effects itself, it's the overall image. Everything feels extremely sharp, perfectly in focus, and evenly lit. It probably because of DI or they are converting as a stereo 3D. And again, I would say trailer VFX are not final. Jan Kanta has released the lens remover LoRA for LTX 2.3. It can remove lens flares, lens dirt, veiling glare, and optical artifacts while preserving the original motion in the footage. It even supports both Rec 709 and RE Loxy workflows. So I was just curious, what is LoRA? LoRA is basically abbreviated as a low rank adaptation. It's a technique that allows an AI model to learn very specific style, object, or person or behavior without retraining the entire model. Instead of modifying billion parameters, LoRa trains only a tiny set of additional weights that can be plugged into an existing model. Think of it like a base model compositor who knows every tool. LoRa is a short training session that teaches the compositor one new skill like matching Marvel style lens flare or removing green spill in a particular way. The base model always stays the same. The LoRa adds specialized knowledge. So, why LoRa was invented? Training models like Stable Diffusion can cost thousands of dollars in GPU time. LoRa can let people train a person face, a product, a visual style, a company's workflow using only few hundred images instead of millions. A LoRa is usually 10 MB or 500 MB compared to base model that can be in several gigabytes. In my opinion, LoRa are become one of the most exciting parts in AI for VFX. Instead of waiting for one giant AI model to solve everything, we started to see specialized tools built specifically for production work that makes them much more practical for artists. Speaking of LoRas, there is another new LoRa called AI Clean Plate Generator. It removes moving people and reconstruct the background automatically using LTX 2.3 foundation model. Anyone who spends hours of painting out crowds know exactly how it matters. Today, the results aren't perfect, but these tools continuously improving, generating clean plates will become dramatically faster generation. I don't think this will reduce need of paint artists anytime soon, but I do think artists who know how to combine AI with traditional compositing will become much more productive. MiniMax has introduced the H3, a new open weight multimodal capable of generating video with synchronized stereo and audio resolution up to 2K resolution. The company also claims it offers significantly lower pricing than competing models. Lower generation cost usually much more in experimentation. Independent AI creators couldn't previously afford AI video generation now have another option apart from when the AI video race has started slowly and becoming less about quality and more about the that's good news for creators because competition generally drives the price down. And there is another one more interesting AI model called Netflix IDV2V. Netflix and Island Studios released this new project that lets artists to change environment, lighting, and visual style of a video while preserving the actor's identity and performance as much as possible. The goal is redesign the look of the shot without losing the original acting. Imagine shooting a performance once, then experimenting with different lighting, costume, or environments entirely in post. That is the direction this research is heading. But still a research only. The workload is incredibly heavy and requires huge checkpoints. And the result seems to be a little bit clamped in the highlights and not enough dynamic range to apply the post processing effects. But conceptually, I think this is one of the most interesting paper released this week. Part of the EU Act becomes enforceable this week. One important requirement that is AI generated media may need content conditionals or clear disclosure when it could be mistaken for real content. So it's part of AI Act. It becomes enforcement this week. Maximum fine for 3% of annual global turnover. In short, a generative AI touches your video, audio, or images, two things kick in. First, the tool has marks its output so it can be detected as C2PA, content conditionals, invisible watermarks, or that sort of thing. Second, if you are publishing could pass as real, the deep fake style stuff you are putting in front of audience and hearsay, it might be buried in metadata. This disclosure is inevitable. AI isn't going anyway. The challenge is make sure audience know what's real and what's AI generated. Chavos released a V-Ray update, bringing real-time rendering direct into the supported DCC viewports through Vantage. Pixar has released Renderman 27, with its biggest milestone being production-ready XPU rendering that combines CPU and GPU for final frame rendering. And Academy Software Foundation and DreamWorks released Moonray 2026, the latest version of its open source production renderer. NVIDIA expands Omniverse Agent Toolkit to make it easier to build AI agents that interact with 3D scenes, USD assets, and production workflows. A new Spider-Noir VFX breakdown has been released, offering a detailed behind the scenes of how key sequences were created. These breakdowns are always great learning for students in terms of compositing, CG integration, and lighting. More news has been dropped out the newly released movie Spider Man Brand New Day. It was the most iconic comic book feeling and movie which has come out MCU for a while. Plenty of crossover interaction between characters, different corners of Marvel. It was excellent. It felt more grounded and it was joy to experience street level experience. A post on VFX subreddit caught my attention. The artist says that project which used to have 6 months are now expected to be finished just weeks. They also mentioned seeing more overtime than ever before, feeling like almost every show is on the edge of missing delivery. Now, before we jump to conclusion, this is one person experience. Every studio, production, and region is different, but judging by the number of response, it clearly a topic that resonates with relatable with many artists. So, what is really happening? Ironically, VFX technology keep getting better. GPUs are faster, AI tools are improving, and render times are dropping, and software is become more powerful every year. But client expectations are grown even faster. A shot that would have considered as exceptional 5 years ago are now treated as a starting point. Directors ask for more iterations, producers expect fast turnaround, and last minute creative changes have become more normal. The result is that technology save hours, but those hours are rarely returned to artists. They are often filled with additional work instead. Another factor is production economics. Studios are under pressure to stay competitive in a market that driven by tax incentives, tight budgets, and fluctuating project demand. That pressure eventually reaches to the artist on the floor. The challenge isn't that VFX artists have become slower. If anything, artists today are more skilled than ever. The challenge is amount of work expected per artist keeps increasing. I'm curious to see while where this goes over eventually in next few years. Will AI and automation finally give artists more breathing room, or they simply raise the expectation even further? I love to hear your experience. Our schedules are getting tighter where you work, or your studio has to manage our this trend. Let me know in the comments. That's all for VFX today dailies. Which story do you think biggest impact in the industry? AI or a Star Wars Union or a new EU regulations? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you next week. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to topicroomvfx.com.